I wanted to take a minute and talk about something that's definitely in the news right now, and that's the unfortunate abduction of Nancy Guthrie. And we're following it quite closely. The whole nation is tuned into it. And recently there was an update where they were able to get video from the front porch camera, which was a Nest camera. And it really sparked my interest, and I wanted to talk to Ryan about this in a couple of ways. First of all, as you probably know, they were able to recover this video off of the Google servers after 7 or 8 days. And so I'd like to talk a little bit about what that means and how they were able to do that. And then I think along with that are the ramifications of Google being able to access video from someone that didn't have a subscription, and what that means as far as our security. So with that, welcome everyone. That's what we want to cover today. We're going to take about an hour and talk about it. And so I have Ryan here, and so maybe what we should do, well, Ryan, you can say hello, and then let's take a look at what they captured, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Ryan. I'm one of the instructors here at Wi-Fi U, as well as the director of online training, and probably the resident camera expert. Done a lot of Protect camera installs, as well as installed cameras from other manufacturers as well. So when Eric said, hey, we want to talk about this Nest doorbell camera and how it works differently from Unify and some of the potential issues with it, I was all about talking about cameras. So happy to be here and excited to get a chance to chat about it today.
Yeah, I think I really think that this is a pertinent topic, and let's see, because Ubiquiti does bring a different paradigm to the marketplace, and so that's what we want to talk about. But let's start off with taking a look at the video that they were able to recover, and then maybe Ryan, you could comment on it. And can we get it? Maybe.
Yep, I'm opening it now. 1 second.
Excellent.
Okay.
Is there any way that one of you could possibly pull it up? Just because I'm running the live stream from my computer, it won't let me do both simultaneously.
I think Ryan, you have it there, or I think I can get to it. Hang on just a minute.
Yeah, Eric, I'll let you grab it.
Okay.
While you're pulling it up, I'll talk about the basics on it. So one of the things that we'll talk about today when we look at the Nest cameras, right, is a couple of big differences between what Google Nest and Amazon Ring and other manufacturers do with their doorbell cameras versus what Ubiquiti does. Probably the biggest one is the subscription piece, where to use a Google Nest or a Amazon Ring doorbell camera, if you want to have access to the footage, by default, you have to have a subscription. All right, we've got the
it looks like
video
this.
up.
Let's try this.
Let's take a look at it.
Those are some gloves, huh?
Guy looks like he's ready to punch somebody.
Yeah, looks like he's wearing boxing match gloves. So this is about a 40-second video, and you can see he's in kind of a controlled space there, and he's going to put some weeds up in front of it to block it, I guess. So I'm not sure what that's all about. And
yeah, the first impressions I get is that this guy is not a professional.
Right. Why would you say that? I'm going to go back a little bit. So yeah.
So he's trying to cover the camera. That's no huge surprise. I've seen that before with with other customers I've had where I put their cameras in, and you get somebody that's trying to put their hand over it.
Yeah.
He's got a mask on, so that's no huge surprise here. He's trying to cover up and prevent any sort of identification. And he's got his whole body covered, right? So if he had tattoos or anything else, any sort of identifying marks, one thing that people probably don't realize is that any tattoos for anyone that's booked into the prison system, they actually keep tabs on it. So if he was a prior criminal and they caught a tattoo on there, they can actually go through a database and look for it. But he's definitely covered that piece up. But he doesn't seem to understand how to actually disable the camera, nor did he come with a hammer or anything to break it.
Well, he does take it off in the end, or at some point he does remove it. So I think you can see up in the top right it says Nest, and you can see that. Now, what are those lights on right where is like on his shoulders? What do you think that is?
My guess is that's reflective strips. So
okay.
When he gets a little bit closer, so there's
this isn't there. We had a little bit better. I mean, here's the flower. Let's see if we can get. I don't know. There we go. All right.
There we go.
That's probably a good shot of his face. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got like it looks like he's either got like people put their put LED lights on their cars, right? He's either done that to his grill, or he's got a flashlight inside
oh, okay.
there. I mean, maybe that's a new thing. I don't know if, but people really want to have spinners and have LED lights on their cars. Maybe they'll start putting it on their mouth too, right? So your braces can look cool and light up at night. My guess is though it's probably a flashlight, and then it just looks like he has two reflective strips on there. They probably came with the backpack. I've seen plenty of backpacks with reflective strips before, so that's not a huge surprise. There are people that think if you put like bright lights either up on your head, or down here like on your shoulders, or even like something coming out of your mouth, that you'll be able to defeat, any sort of facial recognition. For the most part, that's not true. And it goes really against an understanding of like how facial recognition actually works. So I can't speak for what Google does. Most of the camera manufacturers hide the actual convolution neural networks that run in the background to be able to do that. But basically what's going to happen is the camera is looking for this portion right here of your face. And once it identifies that there's two eyes with relative symmetrical spacing, and that there's something in between, it's going to identify that as a face. Now, can it pick out whose face is what? If you cover up most of it, probably not. But it would certainly figure out in this case here that most of the basic CNNs are going to go, yep, that is a face, right? There's enough of a profile of a face here that it would tag that as a face.
So the news that I've seen about it, they have a little bit better picture of his face, and so the news people have said, oh, they can use AI to generate, who this person is. There was some it looked like he had a mustache and his eyes, and so in fact, I think it was yesterday they found somebody that matched this profile in Rio Rico or something like that. And they went to his house, and he was like, wasn't me. He had an alibi. But can you talk to us a little bit about what they would need? First of all, is that a possibility that they could build a good profile from something like this?
So potentially, there's enough AI tools. For example, there's an AI tool called Meshy, where you can take a picture and you put it into the AI, and the AI will try to basically guess based on shadows and what it thinks are normal shapes, and it would try to generate a full 3D object based on that picture. Now, I've done that with a couple of relatively symmetrical objects for 3D printing, and it works okay. And that's just with like a free, non-paid, me just throwing something on a web browser. So I suspect that if you had the resources that the FBI does, they would have some more advanced modeling where you could generate, hey, this person is about this tall. They have,
Yeah.
I mean, he's had enough pictures of both him walking up, twisting, and sideways that you could generate, excuse me, what a normal like body profile would look like. Now, is that going to help you? You could compare the body profile to somebody, right? But I'm sure that there's more than a lot of people out there that look like that, and they're really, unless if he's a previously convicted person, they'll have plenty of evidence on it. But if this person's never committed a crime before that would cause them to be booked, you're really taking a profile, and you're kind of doing the I lost my dog, right? Like I need to find something that looks like this. So that could be challenging. And I don't think it doesn't look like, at least from this footage, they got enough of a face that they could really identify. And then you see like even the recent murder over in New York, right, where they had a picture of Luigi Mangione. How long did it take them to be able to find him, right? He just kept moving. And so even when you have a good picture, it's still really difficult because, like you're still trying to look the person up and you're still trying to catch where they're going. And my suspicion is that this guy is not going to make it easy for him to be able to find him.
That's okay. So that's interesting. Yeah. So even if they had it, they would still have to be able to bring the all the different pieces together to locate him there. It doesn't seem like this guy is a super high intellect thief or abductor. It seems, I'm assuming this assumption that somebody hired him to do this, and then they were going to take over from after the abduction, because he just seems like this whole episode in front of the camera is kind of amateurish.
I've seen teenagers do a better job here. So if you're worried about being tagged by a Wi-Fi camera, right? And you're at the point where you're going to kidnap somebody, like you probably don't care about property damage, right? You're willing to bag somebody up. So so my guess is that he doesn't know what he's doing with the camera, or maybe he's playing 4D chess and he's really a really smart guy and he's just trying to play dumb. But I kind of doubt it.
I doubt it too, because he's doing a really good job of playing dumb. I mean,
So the typical ways that people would defeat the cameras would be twofold. Number one, they'll physically attack the camera, right? Any doorbell camera, they almost never have an IK rating on it, right? So for those not familiar, the IK rating is impact resistance, and it goes from IK 0, 0, which is basically nothing or not tested, to all the way up to IK 10, which means you can take a sledgehammer to the camera and it'll still work. Most doorbell cameras do not have an IK rating at all. So if you hit a camera with a large mallet, with something that has any kind of weight to it, it's only gonna take a couple of swings and that camera will be on the ground. So, had he wanted to just destroy the camera, I mean, he could have just taken a small sledgehammer and it would have been done. That wouldn't be too hard. And even if you don't break the camera itself, you rip it off from the wall, it's going to disconnect it. The second way that people try to get rid of the cameras is most of those cameras are Wi-Fi. They connect on Wi-Fi. They'll be powered by the 24 or 20 volt transformer that comes for the doorbell, but they'll be connected on Wi-Fi. And the way that most of these folks will try to drop it will be using what's called a deauthentication attack, where they attack the Wi-Fi. It's not jamming. Jamming's a different thing. I'm particular about that as an electronics engineer, but the deauthentication attack basically copies a open deauthentication frame and then just repeatedly sends it and tells the device to continuously drop off. Now, there's not a lot of protection on that with older Wi-Fi, with Wi-Fi's 5 and with Wi-Fi 5. When you get to Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 7, where they introduced WPA 3, that's where you actually have those deauthentication frames are actually encrypted, and so that stops attacks like that. Now,
they have to come from the original, the authenticator of the IP address. Isn't that correct?
Correct. So they actually
So-
have to come from the wireless access point,
Yeah.
and the devices will ignore any de-authentication tech from somewhere else. They also like you can't copy it, right? It's encrypted, so and the encryption is going to roll every so often. So you can try to send it, but it's not like it's going to be old. It'll just get
It's a
ignored.
huge advance for security, WPA3. Thanks. So let's segue into this. So we've got this now, and you've given us two ways to overcome or to stop the feed. And I was thinking also with these systems, since they're subscription systems, the Nest system and the Ring system, couldn't somebody just come in and cut off the internet first? Because it's not. Yeah. So if I went to the side of the house and just snipped the wire that's coming in, then I've overcome the security system too, right?
Absolutely. So some of them, I'm actually looking at the most recent Google Nest system, and I don't see anything about local storage. Yeah, it says continuous video recording, records up to 30 days. Yeah. So
Ring has a system. Ring has a system, a local system, or that you could record locally. Ring does, but it's, I don't know. It's not the one that they're pushing the most. So anyhow, we can talk about that. But I think the conversation, that the way that Ubiquiti does it, I'd like to move into talking about that. But before we do, so maybe you can help me with this. But what I understand is with the subscription base, a person, when they get the Ring or the Nest camera, whoever installs it for them would then set up a subscription, and they'll pay monthly. And it looks like it's about $100 a year for a subscription for one camera.
Yeah, I've seen, and I think it depends. My guess is that some of the installers will get a discount. And so the first year will be a discounted rate. But typically it's, on average, it's about the price of the camera per year. So the first year you get the camera, right? But on year 2, you're basically paying for the camera again for a subscription. And what normally happens is a lot of people are like, this is dumb. I don't really care about being able to go and see my footage or whatever, right? So they get rid of the subscription. But then the problem when you don't have a subscription is you can get real time. Almost always you can get real time through
Live,
the app.
Okay.
But then you can't get any sort of recordings because the camera has no built-in recording, right? There's no drive in the camera. There's no SD card or anything like that. So there's no place for the recordings to go unless you're on a cloud system.
Yeah. So a couple of things that come up with that. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about the Ubiquiti solution and how it differs, and then so walk through what this would look like if there was a Ubiquiti camera solution instead of the Nest.
Absolutely, yeah. Like if I had installed this and installed it properly, if they'd still have a doorbell camera, right? And so the doorbell camera would be connected via Wi-Fi back to a UniFi NVR of some kind. So either a dedicated NVR with like 4 or 7 drives in it, or typically for a home, it'll be paired with the router. So they'll have like a UDM Pro or a UCG Max that has a drive in it. So
hard drive, so
a hard drive of some kind. Yep.
Okay.
So that camera, the way that security cameras work is that they're continuously recording. So the camera is always recording, but then it writes to the NVR. It'll write events based on the recording rules that are set. So if you say, I want the camera to continuously record 24/7, the camera records, and as it's recording, it says, hey, we're supposed to record 24/7. So it puts those onto the NVR, and you can pull back 24/7 worth of footage. If you only record, say, AI or emotion events, the camera will continuously record, but then it'll look and it'll say, oh, that was a motion event. And it snippets out that motion event and puts it on the NVR. So when you go back and you scroll through the timeline, you might see for timelines that are real recent, you might see motion or you might see activity or whatever. But if you only selected, say, motion events and it wasn't a motion event, it won't let you actually pull that because that's temporary. It didn't actually write it to the NVR. So it's important when you put those in that you ask the person, you're like, hey, if this is really going to be like your security camera, should probably record 24/7. So that way you're not going to lose, like if something happens and the camera didn't detect a motion event or AI event, you still have the ability to pull that footage.
So I just pulled this up. I'm sharing this. So this is a G4 doorbell at my house, and it's at night. And so I'm just going to play. So first of all, you can see that it's pretty clear at night, right? And so, and by the way, it took me like all of about 5 minutes to go in, find just a video recording. I'm recording events only on it, and here's the Ubiquiti camera, and here's what this would look like in real time. So here comes some people out. Yeah, the light goes on, and you see him pretty clearly.
You can read the side of the box.
Yeah, you can even read.
Yeah. He needs to pick better beer, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, does that say Coors on it? That's funny.
It says Coors. Terrible, caught in the act. Oh, yeah. So disappointing.
By the way, I was gone when this happened. So anyhow, they're friends. So that's pretty funny. So anyhow, do you want to talk a little bit about the difference that you could see here with this camera versus the other one? I mean, man, so, I can make that face out right there.
Yeah, so definitely a couple differences. So number one, the optical portion of the G4 Doorbell Pro is way better than most of the Ring and Nest cameras that are out there. So if you buy, and the camera manufacturers now are slightly deceptive. I pulled up Google's all of their camera descriptions, right? And I look at, as a camera guy, I look at things like the focal length, I look at the sensor size and the sensor resolution. And the big thing, and we talk about this in our video surveillance class, the sensor size, the bigger the sensor, it's like a bucket, right? It catches more, like a bigger bucket would catch more rain. A bigger sensor catches more light. So what I've noticed is that for the Google cameras, they're using a 1/3 sensor, which is pretty terrible. Like, so you have to be, so it doesn't have very good night performance because it can't capture as much light, and you end up having to be closer before it will actually get that kind of detail. The other thing is that with the exception of their newest one, the 3rd gen doorbell, all of their sensor resolution, the number of pixels they have, was like 960 by, I think it was like 240. Pull it back up here. Oh yeah, here it is. So
that makes it
960 by 1280. So not very good resolution. And I say that, and I compare it to the door, like even just the doorbell light, right? Or sorry, well, your doorbell here on the screen, right? Your doorbell has a 1600 by 1200 sensor on the main camera, let alone the package camera. It does 30 frames a second, and then the optics on it, I think it has a 1/2.4, which is, it looks like it's a 1/2.4. So it's got a bigger sensor and it's got more pixels. So it's going to perform better at night. And on top of that, it's going to have like better resolution when it does create an image. So it's already better. It's better in all cases. It's more expensive, but
it is.
So it's like right now it's listed for $379, but you're gonna, like, after the second year with a cheaper camera, it's basically paid for itself because you have no subscription fees. And if for some reason that price tag hurts you, if you look at the doorbell light, right, like the cheap one that I have out in my garage, it's still got a 5 megapixel resolution on it, 1920 by 2560, and it's a 1/2.7. So it's still better, and it's only $100. It's still better than most of the Google Nest, except for the 3rd gen Google Nest that came out more recently. So, and I mean, and then
this
like
is
after you pay $100 for
back
it,
too. This
what's
G4,
that?
I was just saying the G4 is that's generation 4. Ubiquity's on generation 6 now. I think they have a G6 doorbell camera.
Yeah, they
but
have
anyhow,
it under
this is
their. I'll pull it up. They have it under their door access.
okay. But this is, I mean, this is so much clearer, and this is night. So I mean, which is usually when someone's going to try to do something bad, right? So okay. So with the Ubiquity solution, we're gonna have a clearer camera. We're
Yep.
gonna record locally. Now, one of the things that I'd like to see, and I think Ubiquity is probably going to come out with it, is if that camera had an SD card that it could record
I do have to
right
leave
on
for
the
some
camera.
things.
So let's
So I didn't
say
wanna, like,
that
if I was
it went the other way. Somebody comes in and they're like, "Oh, well, I'll just take the NVR." You know,
They actually already have a way to fix that, though.
okay,
So-
tell us what that is.
Yeah, so you could, if you were really worried about security, let's say, right? Like, and somebody came in and said, "Well, I'll rip the camera off." So if there was an SD card in the camera, they'd take it with them.
That's
And
true.
if they knew what an NVR was, right? Sometimes these aren't the smartest people, but let's say they walk in and they go, "Oh, that thing has blinky lights and hard drives, right? Rip that thing out and take it with me." If you have an AI port, which looks a lot like this. This is an AI port, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the backside of the AI port is an SD card slot. So if you took your AI port and paired it
Oh
with
my God.
your camera and you put this in a locked area, like, or you
Yeah.
just put it somewhere where it's going to be inconvenient to find, like up in an attic
Sure.
or whatever, right? It could record, you can record to the SD card. And then even if they took your NVR, you're still good. So they do have a solution, and actually, I wouldn't put the SD card in the camera because people would be smart enough to be like, well, let me rip the camera off and not leave it behind, because if it has a card in it, obviously forensics can pull it up. So even if they took the camera and the NVR, if they were smart enough and had enough time to do that, you could still hide one of these guys, and you could record to the SD card, and it would work. And I mean, who's going to grab this? I mean, you can hide this anywhere.
And you can
Freaking-
mount
I mean,
it.
you can
mount it different. You know,
you
make
can mount it to the back of a TV.
Impossible.
You-
Yeah. Well, I was thinking even in a secure box.
Yeah, you could put it
yeah.
inside a safe and just have a hole in the safe for the Ethernet port, or just put it in an inconspicuous place. For the most part,
Right.
nobody's going to assume that this thing is worth any money, but it can actually keep backups. The other thing
That's
you
really
can do
good.
is
Yeah, go ahead.
the continuous archiving. So Ubiquity added I think it was the early version of Protect 6, but I could be wrong on that. They added a continuous archiving option. So what'll happen is your footage will go to an account linked to you. So say your OneDrive or Google Workspace or even a NAS, and it will continuously archive the footage there. So even if somebody rips your NVR off, it will have recorded footage all the way up to the NVR being physically separated, right, by the perpetrator.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that option as well.
I like that option, and it's another security point. So I had somebody say this before they had that capability, is that somebody that was an employee that had rights to get onto the Unified Protect system, got in and erased some of the video of where they had stolen money out of a cash register, so there was a gap, right? And so the owners were like, is there any way we can recover this? That was a hard conversation to have.
Yeah.
But they knew the guy had done it. I mean, they had other evidence. But if they had video archiving, he wouldn't have been able to erase what went up to the video. Is that right? He couldn't have gotten into that and deleted it off of the video archive.
Unless he would have had the credentials that they used for the archiving, they wouldn't be able to go in there and get that.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're in a high security environment, or an environment where you think like people are going to go and break your stuff, right? it behooves you to think about what kind of cameras you're going to buy and where you're going to store all that footage at, right? Because there's lots of options, right? You can use an AI port with the SD cards. You can continuously archive. You can, you can use better cameras, right? Like I got a turret camera right over here, right? So like this guy, right, he's got like an IK04 rating. So this thing can be hit with a hammer a couple times and it'll be okay. But if you're in an area where you're really worried about people wanting to beat your cameras apart, you better look at getting a dome camera. Dome cameras have, on average, they have an IK10 rating, which means that you can take a sledgehammer and drop a sledgehammer on the thing from a foot, and it'll still be fine. So any high security areas, right, I put dome cameras in, and people throw water on them. People hit them with a sledgehammer. They bang on the thing. They try to spray paint it, right? And for the most part, the camera survives just fine. And there's also not a surface to grab onto the camera and yank it off the wall, because that happens too, especially with bullet cameras.
So let's bring it back to this. This is what happened when I started watching this. I have my mother, elderly woman, and she lives with my sister, and I think there's a lot of us right now that would like to have a surveillance system that could help out. Just like, yeah, we don't want to spend a lot of money, and it's probably going to be, a challenge for the non-professional to install the system. But let's talk about what we could do for them. An easy install maybe, but also something that could protect them better than this system. This system failed. For 8 days. If they'd have had this video like day one, it would have been a lot more helpful. They wouldn't have had to, backtrack as much. And so Ryan, talk to us about maybe a simpler system, but one that we could put in, that we could monitor, an elderly household.
Absolutely. So probably the biggest thing in terms of a good system for a house, right? Ubiquiti has what's called the UNVR Instant. It's a small device that'll take one 3.5-inch hard drive. It has all the ports on the back to power up to 6 cameras, and it also has an HDMI output. It's the only one right now that does, to be able to provide you to, like, you can connect the HDMI up to a TV so you can see your cameras, right? If you don't, and you can also still see them through the Protect app, as well as be able to access that via the site manager on unify.ui.com. Now,
okay, hold on just a minute.
Yeah.
The Protect app. I love the Protect app.
Absolutely.
And so maybe we should just explain a little bit what the Protect app does.
So one of the biggest reasons that I continue to install Unify gear, and I use that at my own house, is that the applications are easy to use. I have installed other camera manufacturers before where to set the things up, like the motion detections, the AI detections, to go and get your videos, go and get your recordings, right? It takes like a degree in electronics engineering to do it, and the interface looks like it was designed by a 5-year-old using AI, right? It's awful. Like, it's absolutely awful. And here's the thing. If it's hard to get your stuff, right? If it's hard to use, you're not going to use it, right? Like, anyone that's had to like make New Year's resolutions about working out or whatever, right? Part one is make it easy to work out, have workout gear, have a subscription, have everything set up so that you lower the barrier to entry to working out. Well, cameras are the same way. If I lower the barrier to entry to being able to use the app and being able to get the recordings, guess what? You'll use your cameras more. I had a church that I installed where they had an older system and we ripped all that stuff out. They barely checked it because they said it was so hard to log in and use it. I put all the cameras up and they were like, we're checking it all the time now. We're noticing things we didn't notice before. And I'm like, well, good. That's the whole point of having cameras. So making it easy to use. Yeah, there we go. Making it easy to use is huge. Because otherwise you just won't use it.
So this camera in the middle is that doorbell camera, and I'm just going to do this quickly, but here is all of the detections that have gone on, right? So if I say I want just look at that one camera. That camera is the G4 Doorbell Pro. Boom. I hit it, and it's going to show all of the detections that it had for that camera. And then if I want to see, like, let's see, where's my calendar? I wanted to see like a certain time. I mean, this is like, oh, well, let's look at it from like the last 7 days. Okay, fine, and maybe we'll go to. I wanted to go to the third. I mean, it's just this easy, right? So let's just take it from there to there. Hit apply because I was gone at this time. Here were the nighttime ones, right? It's like, oh, okay, there they are. And if I wanted to, see who is this guy? I mean, just like that, I've got it. It's so easy. So anyhow, it's easy to see. And by the way, once I pull that video up, I can just like put it into up here. I can add it to a case. So if like I wanted to see if I wanted to build a case on the different times this person's gone in and out that door, I could save it all. I can download it quickly. That's what I did with the video. So oh, by the way, I think I can do everything that I just did on my phone on the Protect app. Is that right?
Yep.
I mean, yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, even if I'm away and I'm on a phone, it's still really easy. We've used it a lot. I didn't realize how much we would be able to use it. Anyhow, that's just a quick example of what you can do with Protect, and it's a huge upgrade to other systems for sure.
Absolutely, and the fact that it's easy to use, right? So even so to like go to this case, right? So we don't know if this guy's maybe cased the joint before. But here's the cool thing, right? If you added the AI port, right? So this guy right here, if you added that to the G4 doorbell, or when they add the I think it's the G6 entry. I've got it up right here. Give me 1 second. I think it does all the AI detections as well. I just want to verify. Don't want to misspeak on that. Looks like main camera. It's got really nice optics. Yeah, I think this one does the AI. Yeah, because it's part of the G6 series, so it does all the AI detections. So if you have a camera that's able to do facial recognition, right? What you could end up doing is, let's say it's doing facial recognition, but you haven't tagged that person's face. Well, if you then later on go, oh, that's a person of interest, and you tag it, the system will actually search all the previous faces to give you potential matches. So what you might find is that, hey, we tagged this guy's face, and in this picture, he's wearing a mask or whatever, right? But the facial recognition software said it could be this person or this person or this person at a previous time if they had, say, cased the place, they had gone and, done some drive-bys and such. And that's really super useful.
It's super useful.
Yeah, because that person might have been coming by before and you didn't think anything of it, right? Because people walk by your door all the time. And then he goes and breaks in. You can say, well, do I have video of him going to the place before? And the system will go and try to give you potential matches.
So if he was a package deliverer, which they suspect they're trying to pull video right now of the different package delivery system drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah. That could be, well, one, it could exonerate you if you're a package deliverer, right? Which might be helpful too. Yeah. All right. So good. So we've got a doorbell cam solution, but I would say we need more than that. Like, if they would have had a camera out front that caught like a vehicle that he was delivered in or something.
Yeah.
So, you said that the Instant has the capability to run.
It does. So the Instant can run, I believe it is 7 or 8. Let me pull it up real quick. It is officially, it says 15 HD, but if we go to 4K cameras, it looks like it can run about 7. So, so you can get 7 or 8, and technically you can go. Yeah, technically you can go over capacity. I've done that before, quite by accident, and don't recommend it, by the way. But but you can you could probably shove one or two more on there, right? It's like kind of like a clown car. You can always shove one more in. So, but
yeah. So
but
yeah. So what I would say, having a second camera, it's so important to have a different view. And if you can get the road. Now, homes, you can have multiple points of entry, so you'd probably want to be able to cover. Not everybody's going to be like this goon and try to go through the front door. I mean,
yeah,
he could have tried to go through the garage or something else.
yeah,
it was pretty convenient that he put his face on
a smarter guy would have walked around the side, or even they would have walked by before to see that they have a camera, and then the cameras, like those doorbell cameras, have a fairly wide angle of view. It's like 165-ish degrees. Mm-hmm. So all you got to do, right, if the homeowner doesn't have any other cameras, you just walk enough over, and then you walk sideways over to the camera, and then just hit it with a hammer. I mean, it's not hard. If there's just one doorbell camera, it's not hard to defeat it, right? But if there's multiple cameras with overlapping coverage, it is hard to defeat that. And it's unlikely that you'll be able to get by if you have multiple cameras. So like for a lot of my customers, I always tell them, like, the doorbell camera is nice. And I mean, I have a doorbell camera. It's great. But I always have at least one wired camera that is typically a couple feet up, because sure, you could try to go and take it out and whatever, right? But the chances of you taking it out before it grabs your face and before it grabs activity, right, and likely sends me a warning, is pretty low. And on top of that, a good thing to point out is that the Ubiquiti cameras now have tamper detection. So if somebody does this to your camera, it can actually send you a push warning, like, hey, someone's trying to cover your camera up. You need to know about it. So under the settings, there's actually tamper detection under recordings.
Mm-hmm. I'm just showing this camera.
Yeah.
So this was the exit way or entryway into where that doorbell camera would pick up. So, and this is a G6 dome, and you can see that I can. So if I have
nice
two,
view.
If I have two cameras, now I've got a bunch, but that's because I work for, I teach this stuff, and so, but still, I'm thinking, I feel pretty confident that anything that comes along, and this has so we should probably talk about the G6 line of cameras. Yeah. They have some AI that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So I'm going to pull up. So there's the G6 and then the G6 Pro series of cameras. So I'll just pull up the G6 turret, because that is a pretty awesome looking camera. Ooh, now they even got a 3D view. That's pretty nifty. So to give you an idea, right, on the G6 line, first of all, they upgraded. There we go. So they put in, compared to like the G5 line, they have a little bit different processor on there. So it's got a quad core processor, so it can do a lot of the AI processing on the camera itself, which is really good. But on top of that, though, the G6 line has, for at least some of them, this one's got a 1/1.8 sensor, and I think one of them had a Pro Turret had like a 1/1.2, which is awesome. Let me just double check. Yep. So the G6 Pro line, right? They have a 1/1.2 sensor. It's a huge sensor. It's really, really big. And that means that their low light capability is top notch, right? So most of the cameras, like you'll see people say, oh, it's a 4K camera. And I'm like, cool, what's the sensor size? And then you get the deer in the headlights look. So just because it's got 4K worth of 4K worth of pixels, if the sensor is really small, it's not gonna perform well.
And that's where they try to get money savings, right? I mean, if you
because
you can advertise 4K, and rarely people want to know what your sensor is. So
people, unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand that there's a lot more than just the number of pixels. It's also the sensor size. It's the lens, right? Like the reason that, when you see like a camera that's designed to do the toll plating, right? If you live in one of those states where they plate you, they send you tolls by mail or whatever, those cameras are really expensive. Why is it? Well, the lens assembly on those is really pricey. the sensor is really big, so that way at night they can still suck in enough light, you know, because the sensor is the big bucket that brings all your light in, so you can actually process the license plates. Because yeah, and so that's why those cameras cost like $25,000, right? Because you're paying for a really crazy sensor and a really good set of optics. So whenever you go to buy a camera, like the manufacturers, they love talking about resolution, but they don't talk about all the other pieces to it, like the sensor size, the lens, right? The lens focal length, whether it can whether it has optical focus or not, right? Those are all really important. Ubiquity's done a really good job of posting those in the technical details, and I've noticed that a lot of other places don't, particularly when they have cheap cameras, right? They don't post those things because they don't want you to actually go in to like a lens calculator and see what it's going to look like and be like, oh, this thing's not going to perform very well.
So Ryan's built a class, video essentials, video security essentials.
Yep, video security essentials.
And so it's just a quick commercial. You see on our shirts that we're Ubiquity instructors, certified Ubiquity instructors. We go around the country teaching certified courses that are created by Ubiquity, but we're just introducing to the market some of our own classes, and one that we are introducing, it would be the video security essentials that Ryan's going to lead. And so I would encourage you to get a hold of us, and we can give you more information on when those classes are and what you can learn. But you can definitely, I've taken this class, and you can definitely learn a lot about how cameras operate. So those engineers that are on with us, you could learn a lot. And I would just encourage you to take a class about video security. It's heightened my awareness. I think it's heightened the nation's awareness, this terrible case that's gone on with Miss Gutherie. So anyhow, we're trying to bring some of these classes to the marketplace. So with that, I don't know, we haven't really paused for questions. I don't know, Elizabeth, if you have any. I've got some more questions for Ryan if you don't. Do you have anything that we should address?
I have not gotten anything in the chat.
Okay. Well, maybe they're just so interested in what we have to say that nobody has any questions.
I sent a message asking if anyone had questions just now, so we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I mentioned that there's a variety of cameras. One of the things that I wanted to talk about a little bit was the Gutheries had a subscription to Nest, and then they for one reason or another either ran out, they forgot about it, which is common. But then Google was able to recover this data. Now, does that make you nervous at all? I mean, this is no subscription, just the thing on, and then like 7 days later, Shazam, they've got video.
Yeah, that's a little concerning. And I have a lot of, I've done a couple of installs for more privacy-minded people, and they brought that up before, where these cloud systems, right? They have just such deep, claws into their stuff that even when you don't subscribe to it, they're still pulling data. And obviously, because the camera doesn't have onboard storage, so obviously they were pulling data. Now that should make everyone, you should sit there and go, hey, wait a second. Google, even when I don't pay them, they're still pulling data, right?
Right.
And what are they doing with that data? I mean, obviously giving it to the FBI apparently, but what else have they done with that, right? A lot of times people talk about, oh, I'm worried about things being used for AI training data. And then they have a Google Nest Cam, and I'm like, well, for starters, that thing is probably doing that, right? Do I know that for certain? I'm not sure, but because Google won't ever tell us, right? But that should raise your eyebrows, right? The fact that Google was able to pull from that camera, right, or go into their archive somewhere and pull that specific camera footage out, even though the person hadn't paid for it, and that camera has no onboard storage. So really, that means that the camera was essentially writing to Google's servers the whole time. So that
it had to
yeah.
have been.
So that, I mean, anyone else, right? If I go to your house and I put a camera at your house and I go, oh, by the way, this is going to write to my server, right? You'd be rightfully like, what the heck? No, absolutely not, right? But apparently it's totally cool if Google does it, right? And people don't think twice about it. And it's the same thing with any of the other ones, like Amazon Ring, right? Like they just write. And oh, by the way, like if Google has that data, right? Who's to say they can't sell it, right?
Well, I think we all suspect it. I mean, my whole generation is like, I just said I need to, brush my teeth, and I got 10 ads about toothpaste, on my feed, and it's like, oh, that was funny a few years ago. Now it's like, yeah, I know that happens. Yeah. So it seems like we should, as a nation, demand that we have some rights there, and rights of what do I want to say?
Well, and I think part of that is, do you really own the camera, right? So when you think about it, right, like this is hardware as a service, right? So you hear all these people, they talk about hardware as a service. I call it hostage as a service, right? To make fun of them, because it is, right? So like, for example, you go and you install a Cisco switch, a Meraki, access point, whatever, right? And they have a license fee. If you don't pay the license fee, that really pretty access point becomes a really pretty looking brick. It doesn't do anything, right? And they tell you that. They say, if you don't pay the license fee, this thing won't work. It will stop working, right? And so people buy a camera thinking that they bought the camera. Not true in most cases. You basically rented their hardware. And then when you refuse to pay the rent, they just use it. Apparently, if it's a Google Nest camera, they'll use it however they want. They've been gathering that data the whole time. And you don't know. You don't know if they are or are not getting the data, like nothing. And they're not going to tell you, right? And so anytime you have a subscription that's required, right, for something, you don't own it. You don't own it. So if you buy a Unify camera right now, right? Like I was at a I travel around in my area, right? And I see people with Unify cameras that are ancient. They're like 7, 8 years old, right? They're like the first generation of cameras that came out after Unify video went away. And they still work. They still work. It's their camera.
Do. I'm running them,
Yeah, and I've talked to them before, and they're like, yeah, if they ever die, we'll call you to replace them. But they're like, they still work. It's their camera. And Ubiquity doesn't. Ubiquity sold them a camera, and they got a camera. It was truth in advertising. You bought a camera, you get a camera, right? When you buy a Nest camera, you bought what you thought was a camera, but in reality, you rented it. And you basically gave Google, right, a look at your house for free, whether you wanted to or not.
We have this assumed right to privacy that we all expect the government to help us enforce, but the further we go down this technology trail, the more that becomes obscured, I think. And you have to look again and say, wait a minute, do I have a right to privacy? Is this something guaranteed under the law? Because it sure doesn't feel like I'm private. Now, some of us have given that up and said, I don't care. I like it when Amazon advertises on Facebook and tells me what to buy. Okay, but I don't know if I want to grant that access ubiquitously.
Yeah. And I think the other thing so like I had, when I was living in Virginia, right, the Virginia Beach police got into a whole lot of trouble. They had fake DNA letters. They had pulled camera footage from people. And again, people go, oh, well, they pulled it illegally. I was like, no, they basically were able to purchase access to, in this case, Ring cameras through what was called Amazon Sidewalk. And a lot of times they pulled it for legitimate actual crimes, right? Which most of us would say, sure, fine. Like, it's okay if the cops pull that. And then some police officers were going through a divorce and they pulled camera footage to check on what was about to be their ex-wife, right?
Right.
Most people would say
this. Yeah.
That's kind of sketchy, right? And so the problem when it comes to like these subscription services and such and the privacy piece is it's not when the cops or when like for somebody to say, oh, well, I'm glad that Google went and pulled this footage, right? To be able to help to try to find the person that, that kid, this kidnapper, right? And sure, like so like I've had times when the cops have come to me because I had one case where somebody broke into a house nearby. The homeowner confronted them. They went running through my backyard, through my garden, which made me really angry. And then the cops came in and they were like, hey, we've got this guy. I see you have cameras. Can we get the footage? Because he's making these claims that he didn't do anything, yada, 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 right? And so I was like, absolutely. So I downloaded all the footage, put it in a case, gave it to the officer, right? And then that guy went to jail, right? Because he tried to claim that, he wasn't doing that. And then I've got a beautiful picture of his face all lit up with the IR. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of you, right? So, but the trick there was that I gave that footage to them. The cops came and asked me. I could have told them no. I wanted to help because I don't like people breaking into my neighbor's house, right? So I freely gave them that footage. Sure. And that's the whole point, is that it's supposed to be people working with the police, right? And because of that, if the cops would have come in and said, hey, we want your footage for this crazy thing that happened or whatever, and I'm like, that sounds sketchy, I'm gonna say no unless you come back with a warrant, right? And then that
which is proper procedure, which is
the proper procedure. Then someone reviews it, a judge reviews it and says, yeah, that's legit, that makes sense, or no, that's a bunch of garbage, you need to go and do something else, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that's how the process works, and it's great. But what this technology does is it bypasses
search and seizure procedure that should be followed. That does protect our rights as citizens. So, okay, well, we're going to wind up here. We've got just a few minutes left, but I think that this is probably the most salient, is that with a system that you own yourself versus a subscription base that's going on somebody else's servers, you can protect your rights as a citizen and not be invaded in a way that you didn't expect it to happen. So I think that what we could say is, there are other systems that do that. There's one of the things that Ubiquity doesn't offer yet, but I've heard that they're close to it, is a monitoring system for their camera system. So imagine if someone breaks in and there was a way, because Ubiquity will alarm. I mean, I can have crossing lines, I can have different things that will cause alarms, but they're only going to go to me. If they could, and I know there are systems that do this now, alarm.com has them and things like that.
Yep.
Which is good. Nothing against that. Once Ubiquity has that, I think it'll be even more helpful, even a better solution. But they're coming up with that, right?
Yes. Yeah. They're coming out with more updates for their Protect system. So I think, and the fact that they already have phones, right? Like I've got a talk phone sitting on my desk over here. It's not too much of a leap to say, hey, we can have the system make a phone call, which really, when you talk about a monitored system, right? Most monitoring systems just means that an alarm trips off, the alarm monitoring center gets a notification, and then they call the homeowner. If they call the homeowner and they can't reach the homeowner, or the homeowner is like, no, I'm not home, something's going on, then the monitoring system turns around and calls the police. That's how all the modern systems work. So it's really not too much of a stretch to say, hey, we can have the Unified Protect system, issue a phone call or issue an alert. I mean, if you wanted to now, you could get push alerts, right? You could set up a system and have a centralized section that got a push alert, and then you could make phone calls from there. So you could already kind of half do it as it is, and it's really not too much more. It's not much of a jump to say, hey, we could make this inherent to it.
Great. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up. So I would just encourage those that are on the line to come and talk to us about our classes. Ryan, you've got any other classes you got on board that are coming up that you want to just mention quickly?
Yeah, so we released our VLAN class, so that's up already. So if you want to do virtual LANs, if you are interested in just like basic subnetting, it's a real short class, but it gives you a good intro into like how you can use VLANs to better segment your network and help kind of like significantly improve the security if you're used to just a flat network. We are almost done finishing up with the Video Security Essentials class. So you'll see that coming up soon. That is a pretty in-depth class. We go over all the pieces that takes describing everything that works on this camera to how to put it on correctly and then how to configure it. It'll be a really awesome class, a lot of fun. And then we are working on an access control class as well as our network routing and switching essentials class to get those up on our learning portal at learn.wifi-u.com. So you'll see a lot more stuff coming from us. We'll have some more short classes and we'll have some more of the actual long classes, like 8 to 10 hours worth of video and a lot of reading and such. So more of a deeper dive than what our short classes do.
All right. Well, let's wind it up. Thanks a lot, Elizabeth. Is there anything else we need to do, or can we say goodbye?
Just one thing before we go. If you could just give me like a short statement on how you believe a better security system would have changed this case. Just to wrap everything up so we have like a closing statement.
So, okay, I'll tackle that, and then Ryan, you can punch holes in it. So
Absolutely.
If Miss Guthrie had a ubiquity system, they would have been able to get the video off much faster, right? And they would have owned it. They could have seen it on the NVR. It would have given endless richness to what was going on that front porch. And with multiple cameras, if they'd have had a second camera, they could have seen the road on that. So those are just two things. But I would say, the biggest thing is within the model. The one is you've got the video that you own it, and we talked a lot about how that could be bad if you don't. And the other one is subscription, and this, there's so many things that can go wrong with that subscription. So anyhow, that would be my closing statement, is the different model. Ryan?
Yeah, so I think on top of that, you could have had tamper resistance and other detections. So people would have been alerted that, hey, something's going on, whether it was loitering, whether it was the tamper where it detects your hand going over it, right? Like if somebody's putting their hand over your doorbell and it's more than 1 second, right? Like they're not pressing the doorbell, they got something bad, right? And being able to send a push notification, not just to Miss Guthrie, but maybe to other people that were helping her if she was elderly, right? Somebody could have called the cops sooner. And once, like, anytime you get police on the scene, right, it forces errors on the bad guys' parts, right? The faster the cops get notified, the faster they can get there, the more forced errors that the bad guys have, and tends to get them caught sooner, right? But instead, they had a lot of time to be able to try to disappear, right? And unfortunately, like, they just didn't have a chance to get notifications, right? Nobody knew until it was well too late.
Yeah. All right, good. All right, how's that, Beth?
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it from here. See you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Okay.